All right.
Hey, welcome
Hey.
back to the Hafu It. We are your hosts. I'm Kyoko,
I'm Sakura.
and today we're talking about anime. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Very exciting topic for, I think, a lot of people because it's like the one thing in Japanese culture that North Americans probably know about.
Yeah, I think anime is much more part of North American culture than people realize.
Totally.
I think people just have no idea how much it ties into a lot of the entertainment that comes
Or even
around.
Influences.
Oh, definitely.
The entertainment.
Pop culture influences.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese culture in general, but I think anime comes from a really interesting background and made its way to North America in a really interesting way.
Totally.
For those of you who don't know, I used to study, or I have a degree in filmmaking, but back in high school when I was still deciding what I was going to do in university, I took a film course.
Right.
And I chose to do a project on the history of film in Japan.
Of course.
And anime was actually, surprisingly to me at the time, not so much anymore, was a major part of that.
Right.
Japanese cinema in general hit its golden age in the 50s, which was obviously just after the war. So
Right.
entertainment was such a major part of the the film industry was such a major part of the entertainment in Japan
Totally.
at the time. People were always looking for an escape from their everyday life, from the after effects
From the horrors.
of the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, makes sense.
Yeah, and I think anime was like a more creative way for creatives to provide that to the people at the time.
Right.
Anime really, I think, boomed a little bit later, probably in the 70s.
Right.
But it yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know, for myself, most of the anime that I knew about was kind of from the mid-80s onwards.
Mm-hmm.
So my knowledge of anime before then is very, very limited.
Yeah, I did some reading, and I think anime goes a lot further back than I think a lot of people realize.
Oh.
It's I think people separate just cartoon to anime a lot.
Right.
But anime started, and there's a lot of debate over this because a lot of things are lost in Japan all the time because of how many natural disasters occur.
Right.
And the wars and everything like that. So I think the earliest reel that they can find in Japan of anime stems from 1917, maybe 1916.
Oh,
so a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, back then it was a little different.
A little bit different, yeah.
Kind of reminiscent of almost like the original Walt Disney Mickey Mouse feature.
Yeah.
Very in that style.
Totally.
A little bit more sketched and drawn.
Right.
But anime has become such a crazy necessary part of a lot of teen life all over the world.
All over the world. And it's so interesting, too, to see what it influences, because you would think it is something that would just influence potentially, other media that you're interested in, but it actually affects people's personal style.
Yeah.
I see a lot of kids nowadays on Instagram who are literally modeling themselves after the way that anime characters. And there's always been that with cosplay, but actually just having that as your personal style now, I see that so often.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's a really interesting angle to look at it in regards to the evolution of cosplay into everyday life as well.
Totally.
Because cosplay was so looked down upon. I think it was very much categorized to one group of people.
Yeah.
The otakus, the weebs.
It was looked down on, but also it was kind of you weren't taken seriously if you were into it. It seemed very childish, very juvenile, very nerdy.
Definitely. Yeah. I went through my anime phase. Must have been.
Here we go.
It was probably between the ages of 12 and 16 or 17.
So 5 years ago.
Yeah. No.
All the way back.
It's a decade ago. And I remember thinking to myself when I stopped that it was just something that I told myself I had to grow out of. It was time to move on to other shows and start thinking about other things. And to be fair to myself at that point, I was also at that point thinking about my future and what I wanted to do, and I knew that I wanted to make movies, so I kind of had to refocus my life in other ways.
Right. Yeah.
But even with COVID over the last year, a lot of time spent just inside, people not knowing what to do. You can only watch The Office so many times before you need to move on to something. And I remember I revisited watching Naruto.
I love that.
And I totally had like blacked out for some reason that I totally was part of.
You stand it hard.
I did at some point in high school. I was part of a manga anime club in my elementary school.
Yeah.
And I think I joined it to impress some guy in my class at the time.
Of course.
But yeah, big time, like, was very into the Naruto Sasuke timeline of all of that. And I totally blacked it out until I was rewatching the anime.
Right.
And I was like, I know these songs.
Oh my god.
Because J-pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, because it is animation, you do hit, like, a certain point in your life, if you grew up with anime, where you feel like you should move on to things that are quote unquote more adult. Mm-hmm. But I think, especially for, like, hand-drawn animation, it doesn't matter what the age category is that the themes or the movie is being presented to. I'm super interested in the, like, art form of anime.
Yeah.
The actual drawing of anime, the creation of the characters. So I don't see it as something being, like, juvenile or, oh, it's like a kid's cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't see it like that.
Well, a lot of the content in anime, too, and this kind of goes back to the whole history of Japan entertainment and the film and TV industry and the development of anime into being just the large commodity that it is now.
Right.
Is that I think people were able to escape easier into anime back then and even now because anime covers a lot of topics and shows a lot of things in Japanese culture, I think, that is not, it's almost like censored in regular Japanese films and TV shows.
Okay.
Although I think Japan's become a lot less like censored over the years, but I think that part of that, at least in the entertainment industry, came out of the boom of anime, is there was something that was easier to talk about those things or to show on screen that would otherwise be deemed inappropriate.
Right.
Because they were catering to the North American audience. And if you're catering to a non-Japanese audience with your products, then you can therefore tackle different topics and different imagery that otherwise may or may not have been available in Japan.
Totally.
It's interesting to think about that now because when people think about Tokyo, you think about all the Harajuku girls and all of that is inspired by the art of the manga artists.
Definitely.
And the anime artists.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, I think it's like really cool too because something that I noticed when I watched anime as a young kid was oftentimes there'd be a person in a super like powerful position, some sort of like warrior, someone who was like much stronger than everyone else and had like all of these powers, and they would be presented to you as a man, but visually they would almost look like female presenting. Feminine. They'd be wearing like eyeshadow. They'd have like super long hair. They'd be super androgynous.
Yeah.
And I think that also really intrigued me too, because in the West, femmes and masculine is so divided. There's such a big divide between the two.
Yeah.
And if you're one thing, you can't be the other. You just have to be fully one or the other. Mm-hmm. So to see in so many different instances, really powerful masculine people also be so aesthetically beautiful and feminine was super intriguing to me.
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, along those lines, just a lot of differences in expressionism that was almost just allowed in anime.
Totally.
By comparison to that. So
totally. And you see it now, especially with like Japanese idols and Korean idols. They're often sometimes like made fun of in the West because they are so beautiful looking.
Yeah.
And so not how like Western masculinity is
defined, definitely.
Yeah. And it's really interesting that so much anime made its way to North America, and influenced so many things, but it was not strong enough to influence you know, the mask presenting people in North America. But I think Yeah, it's just a different view of what actually counts as being masculine.
Yeah, and like probably comes to in one of the most long-standing animes from Japan is Sailor Moon.
Right.
This Tuxedo Mask.
Tuxedo Mask. And there's also those two Sailor Scouts who, I don't know if they actually ever say that they're a couple, but one of them is mask presenting in their kind of streetwear.
Yeah, you're right.
But then you find out that it's actually a Sailor Scout when they're in their uniform.
There's that conflict, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever... I'll have to rewatch. I don't know if they're actually gendered ever. Obviously, to be like a Sailor Scout, you would assume that they're femme-presenting, female. But then they dress like a man.
Yeah.
And it appears like they're a hetero couple.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was super interesting. I picked up on that, like, right away. And I was like, so. Yes!
Yeah, I never actually got into watching Sailor Moon too hard, I don't think, as a kid. But I had all the VHSs from, like, the movies from Sailor Moon.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't actually know the story well enough to know a lot of things.
Yes.
But Sailor Moon itself was probably, I'd say, like, my introduction into anime.
An iconic anime.
Just from the time that I was a wee little babe.
Yes. So. And I think that style of anime too is such a beautiful example of that era's style of anime. Mm-hmm. The facial features, how the nose kind of slightly like flicks up a little bit, how the hair kind of comes down into like points in the bang. It just, like, a lot of anime from that time has that certain aesthetic.
Yeah, and it's very, like, 2D.
Very 2D.
It's very, like, coloring book, which is beautiful still, though.
Totally.
Yeah. When I was first getting into manga and anime, when I was a young one.
Again, 5 years ago.
15 years ago. I think a lot of people do this too, where you have a certain set of regulations as to whether or not you're going to read that manga or watch that anime.
Okay.
And for me, one of those things was whether or not I liked the artwork enough.
Totally.
And I think I could never get into the ones where it was too real looking.
Okay.
I feel differently about it now.
Yes.
But when I was first getting into it, like, the more 2D the animation, the better. So a lot of the anime that I watched growing up was actually, like, totally not with the times. They were all from, like, the 80s.
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah. Or in that era, just because I appreciated that artwork a lot more at that time.
Yeah. Besides Sailor Moon, what do you think were kind of, like, the first animes that you ever saw?
So, and I'll backtrack just a little bit before just to explain. So I got into manga and anime because because we're mixed race Japanese. So when I was in elementary school, I moved to Toronto from Markham, Ontario.
Okay.
And I was like the new kid.
Shout out to Markham.
Shout out to Markham kids. And all of the kids in my school, because when you're the new kid, you're just, people fixate on certain parts of who you are. So for me, it was that I was Sugimoto. That was my name. It defined me as being mixed race Japanese. There were no other mixed race Japanese people or full Japanese people at all in that school.
Oh my God.
So I was like one of a kind. She was unique. And so people hopped onto that for me, and they were like, oh, like, do you read manga? Do you watch anime? And I was like, who dat? Like, what are those things?
What are you talking about?
But I think to an extent I had pretended to be into those things and then secretly on my own gotten into those things. So I had one friend in elementary school who was a big time otaku for like a while.
Yeah.
And we were like 12, right? So it was early, but it was still... whenever I went to her house, we used to go down to her basement and we would watch whatever anime or read whatever manga she happened to be like watching at the time. Yeah. So I watched a lot of anime. I read manga first before I started watching anime, but I got into animes like Marmalade Boy.
Okay.
There was one called Kodocha, which I actually have on my rewatch list because it's just so cute. Gundam Seed. Yeah. I watched Gundam Seed a lot. Yeah. With her. Dragon Ball Z, I think, takes me way back. I brought my boy Goku today.
Can we see it?
He's real small.
Is he visible?
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to do the influencer thing.
Our beauty guru thing. Yeah, I brought my boy Goku because he's my long-standing friend.
We've got our Dragon Balls.
Yes, I also brought some Dragon Balls, courtesy of my friend Halo.
Can we just...
Yeah, they're beautiful. I have a couple. But
get into that.
They're all from like vending machines in Asia.
I mean...
So they're gorgeous. I also have Gudetama, but we're talking about Dragon Ball Z.
Ah!
Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Definitely, like, when you were a kid and you were, like, trying to hide from your parents that you were still up at a certain point.
Yes.
Like, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were both shows that were on too late for me when I was younger, but I 100% would pretend to go to sleep and then turn my TV on and then subsequently get in trouble for it. But it was all completely worth it.
It was completely worth it.
Goku was 100% my childhood hero.
My childhood crush.
Your crush, my hero.
Only kind of. He was a little too goofy.
Yeah.
He was a little too goofy.
He's a little bit dumb. Yeah, I always thought about that.
Yeah.
No, I was very into, like, Vegeta. Just that, all that mask energy.
That toxic masculinity is so hot.
Super toxic. Yeah, definitely.
It's super hot.
Not the case anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, was big into Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Growing up. That was kind of an Inuyasha.
Oh my god, Inuyasha.
Yeah, on YTV, they were always showing Inuyasha. Again, probably too late for when I was supposed to be staying up. And
probably a little on the mature side.
Definitely a bit on the mature side, but I mean, it just goes to show how little you truly register when you're like that young and you're watching shows that you definitely shouldn't be watching. Totally. Because I still stan those shows.
Yeah.
Inuyasha and Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, they all provide me with more than even just like nostalgia. I think it was nice. I rewatched a lot of those a couple years ago for the nostalgia factor, but it's nice to go back to those shows because you can fully understand like the storyline a lot more. Yeah,
as an adult, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's fun with all those animes now because when we're recording this podcast, it's October 2020, and this month, I believe, there's a sequel to the Inuyasha anime finally coming out.
Here we go.
And I think that's so interesting because when I was in Japan, all I wanted was an Inuyasha, like, little figurine. But because it was so long ago and Japan is so big on anime.
Right.
Like, it's a lifestyle for people over there. It's just, like, it just gets buried in so many of the newer animes and mega appropriately so. I think I did find one, but he was so overpriced. I mean,
you're like, I love you, but no.
Rare. Yeah, I was like, I can't do that.
Yes.
But, it's nice. And then, like, Naruto even is getting, or I guess they got a sequel a couple years ago, but it's still ongoing. Boruto, Next Generation. It's like all their kids.
Right, all their children, yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice to kind of be able to go back to those stories now as an adult and understand, like, rewatch to refamiliarize yourself with those stories so that you can go back and catch up a bit on like old friends almost.
Yeah,
and I think even Dragon Ball Z came out with either a new season or a new movie just like a couple years ago.
Well, after Dragon Ball Z, it's Dragon Ball GT.
Yes.
Which is their kids.
But then a couple years ago, a movie with like Goku and like Vegeta and Bulma and like all the OGs was released with a new villain, and I don't remember what it was, but I think that I watched it because I was ecstatic. I was like, heck yeah, I want to watch more Goku.
I love that.
Even though those animes are so long.
They're so long. No, and they also film it so that one singular event that would take like 5 minutes to experience it is drawn out over like 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And you don't really notice it when you're just watching it on TV, but I have them now.
Yeah.
And so watching it, if you cut out the intro and the ending to every episode, you could literally watch like an entire season, I swear, in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think I was telling you the other night, even when I was rewatching Naruto during quarantine, I was realizing, I was like, there are so many episodes of this anime, and they have to, right? They have to make sure that these animes will be long-lasting, long-standing, because the storyline is so interesting for those animes.
Yeah.
However, there are so many useless episodes where they just doesn't contribute to the storyline.
No.
And I know that they're entertaining, and I know that they're there for that purpose, but I don't care as much about the side characters as I do about whether or not Naruto and Sasuke are gonna fight each other.
I don't need to know the origin story of this side character.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, I don't really care. I want to come back to it later. For right now, I was like, put it in like an alternative anime.
Give them
like
a spin-off.
Give them like a piece in the movie. You know? Yeah. But I guess to that end, otherwise those animes wouldn't have been on for so long,
right?
And maybe gathered nearly as much of a following because of the time that it was on. So that's strategic.
Yeah I think for me, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were like huge in my life. I was super into like anything martial arts related as a kid. Super into martial arts, so this was right up my alley. Martial arts, and then in combination with like superpowers, I was like done deal. I think that and Pokemon. Pokemon was my shit. I think I was like in grade like 2 or grade 3 when Pokemon came out, and I was just like, this is it. Pikachu is the one.
All of my friends growing up in elementary school were super into Pokemon.
Yes.
And my cousin was major into Pokemon. Yeah. We grew up together, similar ages.
Right.
And I think I pretended for a lot of our childhood together.
That you liked it?
That I was into it because it was like our bonding moment. Right. It was like talking about Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. And I still, to this day, I think that it's okay. But I kind of like... I always connected with Ash because my English name is Ashley.
Right.
So for me, that was like my connection to that story. But I didn't get the whole like the cards that they were like that you get out there. I just never fully got into Pokemon.
Right.
I was more of a Yu-Gi-Oh girl.
Oh, we love Yu-Gi-Oh.
We love Yu-Gi-Oh.
My brother literally has Yu-Gi-Oh's pyramid tattooed on his chest.
Oh my god.
Where Yu-Gi-Oh has it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think I blame Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime for my like messed up way of thinking about how friendship should be, because all I think about sometimes is like how in like the first episode they all like join their hands like this in like a circle.
Oh
but, like,
my
and
god.
Then they like draw like it's not like a real tattoo, but it's like it gets referenced again like later in the anime. And it's super fun. They're just like, well, we're all connected because we have this like invisible tattoo on our hands.
Oh my god. You're like, every friendship needs to be this.
Yeah. It does the same thing too that like shows like Friends do.
Yes.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Except it's a sick anime.
Yeah. And again, Pegasus with that long like white hair. I'm like, you are working that suit all the way out.
Kaiba. Oh my god.
Kaiba. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I was so into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I was probably into Yu-Gi-Oh! The way that people were into Pokemon.
Yes.
I had everybody's deck.
Well, as soon as they figured out that a show in combination with playing cards was, like, the way to go in the West, they were like, hell yeah. Because, like, there was Digimon.
Right.
There were Yu-Gi-Oh!
Beyblade.
There was Pokemon. Beyblade had, like, the physical Beyblades. I definitely had some.
Yeah.
I mean, so...
Yeah, I had everybody's deck from Yu-Gi-Oh!
I love
think
that.
I think it was Pegasus's deck that was, like, one of the rare ones.
Okay.
And you, like, had to literally go to the middle of nowhere to find it, or it was really expensive. That was at least my idea of it as when I was a kid.
Right.
And my dad, the sweet little angel that he is, knew that I was so into it. So I remember him picking me up from school one day, and he drove me to, like... And I'm sure he's going to correct me on this when he hears this, but I swear it was, like, this weird... mall that had like no stores in it, and he dragged me into the basement of this mall, and it was like low lighting, like it was very like
it was
weird,
like a shady,
warehouse-esque. Yeah, it was very shady feeling for my little self.
It was in the alley, like behind a building.
Yeah, and it was like, I think my dad told me to like look around while he talked to like the shopkeeper or something like that, and like in my head I was like, my dad's going full like mafia, like negotiating prices on this like Pegasus
full on
card
Yakuza
deck. But I got it. She got it. So thanks, Dad.
It almost sounds like you were in an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And you had to go to some, like, secret seedy shop to try to find a secret card.
And you know what? Maybe, like, that was just how my younger brain worked, and I literally just had planted myself into an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean...
to make it all about that mystery and mystique.
I mean, you have the film line, so I don't put it past you to just create this whole film line goes fantasy. Way back, y'all. Yeah, let's be real. Okay, but Sugimoto-san, like, he showed up.
Yeah, he really showed up. He delivered. His girl. Yeah, we love a dad. We love that. Yeah.
Okay, because I always thought with the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they would just be, like, mismatched, like, you just get what you get, but the fact that they have, like, specific, player decks is super cool.
Yeah, because in the show, too, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that each person, much like in Pokemon, like, you have your signature, like, monster, you have your signature, like, person.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Yugi had...
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
No, I think that was Kaiba's card. But he was, like, one of the, like, I forget what they called those monsters, but there were, like, 3 of them.
There was 3...
That were, like, the baddest of the bad. Like,
I think there were 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Kaiba had one, Yugi's grandpa had one, and one other person had one. And when you combine them all together, it creates, like, a super dragon or something.
But
correct
even
us if we're wrong.
Yes, please correct us if we're wrong. We're just, like, this turns into a Yu-Gi-Oh episode.
Which is fine.
Yeah. But I even mean, like, there were different cards with, like, that level of monster, but I think they were rare cards. Like, I think that was Kaiba's character's, like, thing, was he
that was
like,
his main thing. Yeah.
That's what all of them were working towards, is, like, finding these more, like, rare monsters. Anyway, I had all of them at some point. And I also had that arm thing.
Oh, my God.
The thing where you put all the cards on it.
Like,
and you're
player
like,
deck?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, where you, like, slap the card. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we actually get there in the tech world where we can actually have, like, a full holographic Yu-Gi-Oh battle?
Well, fun fact, Japan did just finally roll out their first, like, Gundam suit.
Here we go.
And they've had kind of ones that you could operate for a while now, but like, they officially have come up with one that doesn't need to be operated with a person inside of it.
Scary.
Like a couple days ago, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, how long ago was Gundam Seed? So that many years in the future from now.
Oh my God.
Unless they're just hiding it from us.
I mean, we already have accepted that we are all going to die at the hand of robots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if it's Gundams, I will just physically train my body to become one of those people.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be here on the ground getting blasted.
Oh my God.
Your girl's not one of those people.
Oh my God.
No, it's our very own case of the Hunger Games.
Just digitally transfer my mind into a Gundam wing.
No, I mean that I would be like one of the operators.
Oh, one of the
like
operators.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be like, I forget what his name is, but the main guy from Gundam Seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, did you ever get into the vampire anime?
I got into one series called Chibi Vampire.
Chibi Vampire.
Where her nose, like, Quentin Tarantino bleeds.
Yeah.
Like, all over the place. Yeah.
I was big into Chibi Vampire. There was another one called Vampire Knight.
Okay.
That was, like, one of the first mangas that I ever got into.
Yeah.
And they, like, they kind of turned it into an anime, but it was bad. So they canceled it, I think, after the first season.
Oh, that's sad.
It was really sad because it was a really good storyline.
Right.
And I think I remember that was one of the only animes or mangas that followed me, like, for many years. Like, I kept checking back for new chapters.
Right.
Because I think that was another one of my rules, was I would only ever read or watch things that were already complete, because she is not patient.
She's not patient. She needs to binge.
Yeah.
Without any interruption.
It was like my disappointment when I got into Fairy Tail. Did you ever get into Fairy Tail?
No.
Well, I did, like, when it was new, and here we are, like, years later, and
she's still waiting.
No, it's finished now, but it, like, just finished, and so it's great, but I have yet to go back and, like, complete the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love a Natsu Lucy moment.
I love that. I'm even, like, remembering an anime that I watched a really, really long time ago, like, when I was a small child. It was called Samurai Pizza Cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 3 cats who own a pizza delivery shop, but they're also superheroes. Mm-hmm. And whenever they got called into battle, they would each go down this kind of, like, shoot, this kind of slide, and as they were going down the slide, they would get this kind of high-tech, spacey, like samurai armor put onto their body. If anybody else remembers this show, hit me up, because I seem to be the only person who remembers this show. But Samurai Pizza Cats, I remember it.
Oh my god.
Weird-ass concept, but... I mean...
No, I love that for you.
Right.
We love all the weird... Honestly, anime is so weird, and that's why it's so tight and wholesome.
Yes, totally.
I have recently just had weird flashbacks to old animes that I used to watch, and I've just been, like, down the rabbit hole on Google, looking them up, and then finding, like, related searches and being like, oh my god, yeah, I totally watched that, and then, like, looking up the YouTube... theme song for them, or the songs from those, and it just all
comes back.
Yeah, we've got like Mermaid Melody, Peachy Peachy Peach. We've got Kiraran Revolution.
Here we go.
They're all on my list to rewatch because they were so cool.
Yeah,
anime is just probably one of the most wholesome. Sorry, Goku's falling over on the table, y'all. One of the most wholesome entertainment avenues that I think I've seen. The stories are always so real. They're always so captivating. I don't think I've ever watched an anime that I wasn't interested in.
Right.
Like, locked into the storyline.
Totally. Yeah. Did you ever watch Hello Kitty and Friends?
No.
That's one I remember from my early childhood, too. Hello Kitty and Friends and Karopi, which is the frog that I have tattooed. My first tattoo was Karopi.
Yeah. We love a frog moment.
Yeah, my only color tattoo, and it's Karopi, and I love it so much.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No, I watched like Hamtaro. Hamtaro, another YTV special.
Oh, the little hamsters.
Yeah.
I can't.
That was like my Hello Kitty. It's not that I didn't know of Hello Kitty growing up. I just didn't. I don't think that's from my generation. I think it had ended. And correct me if I'm wrong. Please just always correct us when we're wrong. But I I don't know when that.
No, I think Hello Kitty was like, it aired in kind of like the mid to late 90s.
Okay.
And then it like never came back.
Okay.
But it's interesting because like with the show Hello Kitty, you learn that Hello Kitty is actually twins. Like she's a twin. So it's Kitty and Mimi. And they either have different colored bows or like different colored clothing.
Yeah.
But it was always the two of them. Kitty was just, I guess, the more popular one.
Right.
But yeah, she does have a sister.
I had no idea.
They're identical.
We love origin stories for
we love an
famous
anime. Yeah.
Icons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can we please also talk about the way that anime characters become just like iconic images?
Right.
And a lot of people like years later have no idea that those were ever, because that's how I feel about Hello Kitty. I had no idea that there was an anime about it.
Right.
I just remember going to all of the Asian malls growing up.
Just any Asian mall.
Yeah, just seeing like
and
Hello
being
Kitty
smacked
everywhere.
in the face with Hello Kitty everywhere you go.
Slapped in the face with Hello Kitty. Yeah, I had no idea.
They used to have this toaster that was a Hello Kitty head, and it would burn Hello Kitty's face like into your toast.
Oh my god, that's iconic.
It is iconic. I wanted one so bad, but I had like no idea where to buy it. And this was before like everything on the internet was super accessible.
I was like, I bet you we could get one. I bet you we could get one now.
We could get one now super easily. Yeah, for sure. It might be one of those nostalgia buys where you just have to buy something you wanted as a child as a full-grown adult.
I mean, listen up, everybody. I think that everybody needs to do that. You have to get all of the things
that your parents denied you.
Yeah, out of your system. It's the reason why teenagers go crazy and they drink too much. It's like the saying that you can't have something thing. And you become an adult with adult money, and then you spend all of your adult money away on useless things, and then after you purchased it, you're like, oh, Mom and Dad were totally right. List all the things that you have purchased with your adult money that your parents definitely said that you should not get.
Oh my god. And you realize once purchasing it, they were right.
They were right. But you have to get it out of your system.
You know, how are you supposed to learn from your mistakes if you aren't allowed to make mistakes?
Yeah, and if we're not making mistakes, are we not human?
Exactly.
Yeah. go out there, buy that Hello Kitty toaster, and burn a Hello Kitty into your toast.
And burn a Hello Kitty into your toast.
I want to see it.
Oh my God.
I want to see pictures.
I mean, comment below if you want to see that as an unboxing. I am more than happy to do an unboxing video with the Hello Kitty toaster.
We'll do an Instagram live.
I mean, if the people want it,
we have to give the
we
people
will provide it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think it's really interesting too with anime. There seems to be like a really, really strong focus on like youth. Mm-hmm. Like the most popular animes always seem to be about like children. Uh-huh. And sometimes a relationship between like an adult mentor with a child, but a lot of them seem to be kind of focused in on
like high
youth.
School,
a lot of high school. But even Pokemon, I always forget that Ash was like 8.
Yeah.
And his mom was like, yeah, just go out into the world, by yourself in the woods with Pikachu. You're 8 years old. You're good to go.
We love Wanderlust.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, now that you've said that, a lot of the animes that I've already listed in this podcast are from like the characters are elementary school students or like early high school students.
Or early high school.
Going into high school.
Totally.
But I always totally like related to that. And I do even now as an adult rewatching those things.
Yeah. Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, Kagome was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all these people are like high school students or below.
Yeah. Well, and on that too, like that level of just living is like a lifestyle for people in Japan. Right. I'm not sure if anybody else like, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows this, but in Japan, anime is as common as watching any other show on TV. It's not, like, back to the topic of whether or not it's considered a childish thing to do or something to grow out of. It's absolutely not. It's definitely something that is still carried today into not just like a weird hobby, but it's like some people come home from work and they're like, yeah, time to catch up on my anime.
Hell yeah.
It's everywhere in Japan.
Everywhere.
They're, speaking of iconic characters that come from anime that people don't realize come from anime, in Japan, when there's construction going on, they will put up like in North America, we have like pylons, like we have safety kind of signs. They're not super fun at all. In Japan, they have literal like Hello Kitty standing there or like Pikachu standing there with like a stop sign.
My God.
Or just like signs that are holding up the like blockages and the barriers.
And it's an anime character.
And they're like anime characters, yeah.
I love that so much.
I think Hatsune Miku too is right now like really large and in charge in Japan.
Yes.
And she's over
everywhere.
Buses. Yeah, she's everywhere.
That's insane.
Yeah, people, it's like a lifestyle. It's like what people sometimes look up to becoming like these characters, but in real life.
And there's literally people who get plastic surgery to become like living anime characters.
Yeah, all the power to those people.
All the power to you, whatever makes you happy.
It's another thing where like people think that when people feel that way, it's like fetishizing Japanese culture.
Right.
But it's just like, it's the same thing with the maid cafes. In Japan, a lot of people are like, oh, isn't that weird? Isn't that No, people like aspire in their lives to become like the best maid possible.
Well, totally. And like anime being cultural appropriation, a lot of like Japanese culture is very, I guess, interested in like Parisian culture, in like culture in the UK. So much of their anime has like a European flair to it. I think there's a really like healthy cultural exchange between the two.
Yeah.
Something like I was going to bring up Howl's Moving Castle, which isn't necessarily in like the anime spectrum.
It's an anime.
But just to showcase how European that movie is. Like, obviously that is not set in Japan.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look at the timeline of animes like that too, because all of that integration with international living or exchanges comes after the war.
After World War II.
Which totally makes sense.
Totally.
The whole history of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, wanting to encourage just not assimilation necessarily, but just being accessible to the rest of the world.
Totally.
Specifically to the European, North American markets.
Yeah, totally. I think it's so interesting now too that there's like actual singers who are a literal like anime character.
Yeah. Yeah, like, again, Hatsune Miku is literally
the voice is computer generated, and so is the image, but they're a recording artist.
Yeah.
They tour, they have concerts, and they're a hologram.
A couple months ago, there was a viral TikTok sound, and it was Hatsune Miku singing it. But it was something that didn't sound like it was in English, certainly didn't sound like it was in Japanese.
Right.
But it was like viral across TikTok, and I guarantee nobody knows that it was Hatsune Miku singing that song.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People have no idea that they're just getting into those waters.
Totally.
Whatever. As an adult, you're welcome to enjoy the anime just as much as anyone else is.
100%.
More so.
Yeah. And this is coming from someone who literally watches, like Pixar children's movies on the reg.
Yeah, and maybe that explains a lot. It's just that we I try to convince people all the time that animated films these days, even Pixar,
Disney,
are so much, almost like more valuable in terms of the storyline than a lot of regular Hollywood films tend to be.
Yeah.
Just because they are aimed at teaching different lessons.
Well, yeah, it's almost like more thought is put into those movies to have more meaning behind what you're watching than with like your average like live action.
Yeah, and we spent so much time growing up watching anime and getting invested in those stories and those characters, so perhaps it's only natural that we've evolved into a state of adulthood.
We can go with that.
Where we love rewatching Pixar and Disney films and animated films. Just
every new one that comes out too, I'm like, yes, honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
No shame.
No shame at all.
No shame at all.
And neither of you should either feel shame. So in the name of not feeling shame and watching anime and animated films and cartoons, please do list the ones that you grew up with, your first introduction to anime. We want to know. DM us, send us a message, leave us a comment.
Leave us a comment.
Find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram.
Find us on all of our social medias.
Thank you guys for tuning in this week. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us talk about anime, and we will talk to you again next week.
We will see you next time.
See you next time.